gonna get into this little vibration real quick, you know what I'm saying? Set off the vibes real fast. You feel me? This is MET 4-77 off the Origins tape. Split, eye open aspirations, intuition attraction, lucid dreaming, this matter is foreign, never be foreseen, but path is foreseen. Stairway to heaven, we elevate again. Triple eight the time, space, matter in my hand. Matter at hand, this man even care for the land. Open up fluoridated eyes, attempts to block in sixth sense, captivation of the true life. This my birthright, what I was born with, my essence. Born to defeat the misconception. They blocking chakra rust, the spouting power like molten lava. Ask to imitate, you don't hear nada. All I can be is a representation of myself. This all perceptive perception is how one eye see it. Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? It's how one eye see it. It's how one eye see it. Sunrise, gotta get it again. I make aurora borealis, paleophilosophy. Remember what you was meant for. Born from four circles, originally a spirit. Hit it again, crystal clear. I sitting on top of foreheads. My moral is Los Angeles, Sagittarius. They shooting stars in the sky, but the sky's the limit. One love, Stilo. I know you living in our spirit. I know in the sky, a possibly beside, immortality. Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? Ask a God body, did you know he's nobody? My life in the sight of God's memory. Walking the tightrope underneath the microscope. I begin to end the destitution. Common man place to solve the space. Time didn't exist until you let it. I'ma need some letters to cope this. The rhetoric, watch yourself, business 3. Third person, know another so they know I can see. Every day, AK, this system, a corruption. Let it pierce through your ear and conundrum. Facing fears, we redundant. God, we divulged in no less knowledge in abundance. Blood of the land when I'm roaming on this earth. Write your own raps, millions on the table. But the mental is still trapped in stables. We gon' voice the dream, it's that water. You may sit, come flow like the water in the moon. And bury in the shit the earth through the seven seas. Flow evil, never eroded. Shit. We encoded what it's like. Do you need me to reappear again? Say begin, but my soul is infinite. I am many sons of others living under one solar eclipse. Break the artificial moon steady drifts. The solar plexus everywhere where you belong. The time is a bliss, reality Aquarius. What this moment is, time to shine. Our lives can find in due time. Either now in caucuses, watching moonwalk. We've been stressing too long. It's true because you never ever got something wrong, but you tripping in your head about past and future creation. What is this to you? Everything, yeah, this is for you. Get out and create. Get out and create every day. Get out and create every day. Alright, so we're gonna get into it. We got the full moon just occurred, right? Full moon in Capricorn just went down, you feel me? So at this point in time, we're gonna have the moon waning whenever we have the moon in Aquarius at this point in time. So keep in mind that the full moon in Capricorn is all about, think about like a cup, you know what I'm saying? You filled up the cup whenever the full moon occurred, and if you put too much energy into that cup, then that cup gonna tip over and you're gonna have that full moon event, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace, people that be passing away on the full moon. It's a real thing, you know what I'm saying? You have that full accumulation, and at this point in time, you try to put too much in the cup, and end up kind of like not benefiting you and things like that. So keep that in mind, that you kind of just want to lay low, and if you're unsatisfied at this point in time, whenever the full moon occurs, you kind of want to be in that space like, okay, I understand what I'm unsatisfied about, and I know what I need to accumulate within the next 6 months to actually be satisfied whenever we have that flip of energy, right? So keep in mind, whenever the sun is in Capricorn, we're going to have the full moon in Cancer, right? So whatever vibration you're putting out at this point in time is going to in turn, you know what I'm saying, manifest to actually be a part of your realm of reality, you know what I'm saying, whenever we have that full moon being in Cancer, you know what I'm saying, 6 months from now. So keep in mind the vibration you're putting out now and whatever you're structuring at this point in time is actually going to be what is accumulated within the next 6 months, you know what I'm saying? Keep that in mind. And it's also that cardinal energy. So Cancer is a cardinal water sign, initiating, creating ways of feeling and emotionalizing things. It's like a vibration. So whatever vibration you put out at this point in time, that's the vibration you actually going to be manifesting over these next 6 months. So it's like whenever we have this moon in Aquarius, right? It's going to conjunct Pluto. So keep in mind, whenever it conjunct Pluto at that 1 degree, it's going to be a deep transformation. And if you allow Pluto to change you instead of you changing yourself before Pluto do, things like that, it's kind of non-beneficial. So keep that in mind. You want to change before you get changed up. So it's like you want to do the work before you get worked on, so to speak, and all that kind of thing. So keep in mind, we also have the moon sextile, the north node being in Aries, and then we also have Chiron being in Aries. So the north node is all about your purpose or your most uncomfortable circumstance, because that uncomfortability actually creates growth. So you're going to have this growth in your individuality, and you're going to see the opportunity to have the right associations and feel comfortable with that growth at this point in time. And then Chiron being in Aries is Chiron being the wounded healer. So it's the wounded healer of your individuality and your ways of being that first one to do things, or, you know what I'm saying, have the first circumstance situation. And keep that in mind at this point in time. We're going to have the moon sextile on that. So we're going to see the opportunity to be an individual at this point in time. We also have the moon squaring Mars and Uranus. So Mars is all about intentions, passions, and things like that, but based on being a Taurus, it's debilitated. So we're going to also have this squared up energy to the moon, right? So the moon is going to have us feeling comfortable being associative and things like that. But keep in mind, this passion is something that's kind of like we got to make logistical and practical circumstances out of the moon right now. So it's like our association, we have to make sense and be practical about the way we are intending to do things. So keep that in mind. And we also have Uranus being in Taurus. So Uranus doesn't do too well in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed sign. They like to be consistent upon what they got going on and consistent upon the logistics and practicality. But Uranus is actually at home in Aquarius, right? So keep in mind that you're going to have this circumstance that's like rebellious and things like that. And you're going to want to ground this rebellious nature and things of that nature. So that's kind of like a difficult kind of circumstance. So you're going to have to learn how to be comfortable with being that individual that is actually rebelling and opposing and things like that. And keep in mind, to actually rebel and oppose, you have to have something to rebel and oppose against. So if you don't have a circumstance that you're actually going against and things like that, it's going to be a circumstance that you can't actually ground that way of being that individual and things like that. We also have the moon trining Jupiter and Gemini. So both air signs, we have the moon being an air sign Aquarius, and then we have Jupiter being the air sign Gemini. We are going to create an opportunity to actually expand our knowledge, wisdom, and experience based on our comfortability with our associates and things of that nature based on the moon. And we also have the south node being in Libra. So the south node is our comfortable space and what we actually feel comfortable at this point in time with. So we're going to be creating this opportunity to associate with our comfortability of relating to others and things of that nature. And last but not least, we're going to have this in conjunction with the moon and Lilith. So an in conjunction is a 150-degree angle or a misunderstanding. So we're going to have this misunderstanding between our association and our darkest moment. So we're going to feel comfortable associating with things with people at this point in time, or associating with a certain energy depending on where you have it in your houses, which I'm going to break down here in a minute. You know what I'm saying? We're going to go all the way through all the signs. We're going to go starting with Aquarius, then we're going to go all the way to Pisces and things of that nature. And like I say, to finish up, the moon in conjuncting Lilith. Lilith is the darkest moment, and it's in Virgo right now. So the darkest moment about our routine, our pattern, or our health, right? We may have we may feel comfortable with our associates and things like that. That actually creates this darkest moment. So we may misunderstand that we're associating with something that could actually create an embarrassing moment for oneself. So yeah, keep that in mind. And I'm saying I got a little breakdown of how we gonna experience from the moon in Capricorn being full to actually this moon waning in Aquarius. So we have this waning moon based on the full moon experiencing in Capricorn. We experience that full moon, right? So we don't make sure you don't tip over the cup. You know what I'm saying, with these last couple of degrees that we're experiencing with the cusp between Capricorn and Aquarius. So like I say, the moon is cusping Capricorn and Aquarius. So the moon is beginning to wane now that it has reached its full accumulation. So this is full accumulation. If you had satisfaction in that, then you're actually on the higher octave. You know what I'm saying? And either way, you're going to have to find something that you actually want to transform and change based on, like I say, the moon conjuncting Pluto, right? So you want to see what you were actually unsatisfied or satisfied with and how to actually make this more beneficial based on what you need to shed in this waning process, right? So this moon in Aquarius is going to give you kind of that inclination of what to go about in this next 2 weeks. So getting into the rising signs. If you have Aquarius rising, you're going to have the first house being Aquarius, right? Obviously. So with that being said, we also have the moon going to be in Aquarius and things like that. I'm on the Western Hemisphere and things like that. I'm a Placidus astrologer. So we got 29 degrees Capricorn right now, which 28, 29, 0, 1, and 2 degrees, that 5-degree orb, is actually a cusp. So we're cusping into Aquarius and things like that. So I wasn't able to be live yesterday and the day before when we had this full moon, and actually experiencing. So I'm going ahead and tapping into it now and keeping y'all in mind that, okay, whatever you had that full accumulation or full experience in, you're going to have to actually shed something based on like this moon in Aquarius, like I say. So the first house is all about your personal affairs, your personality, and your individuality at this point in time. So either you feel comfortable being that individual and things like that, and you feel comfortable actually shedding things that are non-beneficial for your individuality. So you're going to see like throughout this next 2 weeks, what is actually something that I need to shed to actually feel comfortable with my personal affairs and things like that. And then also keep in mind, we're going to have 2 full moons in the Capricorn. And because we have the full moon right now, we just experienced. And then we also going to have another full moon in Cancer towards the end of the season. So keep that in mind. It's going to be a whole lot of energy being accumulated in that Capricorn house. So Aquarius, I'm saying, has Capricorn in the 12th house. So keep that in mind. But yeah, moving forward, Capricorn rising has Aquarius in the 2nd house, and the 2nd house is all about values. And values are a person, place, thing, or idea. So essentially what you're associated with based on the people you're associated with or the places you're associated with, you either feel comfortable associating with these things at this point in time or you feel uncomfortable in that association. And if you're feeling uncomfortable in that association, you need to find something that you can actually accumulate value from. And values meaning like money or things that you can actually feel comfortable utilizing and things of that nature. So like, is there a thing that you actually value at this point in time? Is there an idea that you're valuing? Or do you actually need to shed these values that you actually have taken part in if you're on the lower octave? If you're on that lower octave, then at this point in time, you want to see, okay, what are things that I can shed that I can actually accumulate a new circumstance in that space? So keep that in mind. Then we have Sagittarius rising, which is having Aquarius in the 3rd house. And based on Sagittarius rising, it is a sextile or a 60-degree angle to the Aquarius energy. So keep that in mind that you're going to see the opportunity in your environment of what to shed or what to associate with or what association you need to shed at this point in time. And like I say, you're going to have Pluto we have Pluto going to conjunct the moon, I'm saying, right whenever we reach 1 degree of Aquarius. So you're going to see that opportunity in your environment of what association to shed and things like that. And the Scorpio rising is having the 4th house being in Aquarius, and the 4th house is all about your privacy, your heart, or your home, or your family, and things like that. So the Scorpio going to have to learn to be more associative with their family and things of that nature. The Scorpio kind of like to be a bit more recluse in their personal life. So they actually have to find, okay, what is something that I can associate with within my family to actually feel comfortable and things like that. Or what is something that is private to oneself that I need to shed throughout this waning moon and things of that nature. And then Libra rising is having the 5th house being in Aquarius, and the 5th house is all about expression, childlike nature, or even being in that fertile energy, so to speak. So Libra is having this trine to Aquarius, so they're creating the opportunity to relate with their associates at this point in time. Or you're seeing the opportunity to create a shedding process amongst this expression or these associates that you actually feel comfortable relating this expression to. Pepsi still ain't send me no email about you know what I'm saying, promoting my circumstance situation. So yeah, they're not gonna be on camera. Let's keep it a buck. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, moving forward, it's a little excerpt, kind of tangent. But yeah, Virgo rising, moving forward, is having the sixth house being in Aquarius, and the sixth house is all about routine, health, and pattern. So keep in mind at this point in time, you're either associating with the right routine and pattern and things like that, and you feel comfortable with that on the higher octave. If you're on that lower octave, then you're like doing unhealthy things and things like that, and you're associating with circumstances, situations that are non-beneficial. And the Virgo may misunderstand because the Virgo already has this personal routine and pattern that they go about and things like that. But based on their association, are they actually feeling comfortable with this routine and pattern? Can they actually associate this healthy nature with others? Or is their health actually able to be associated? Because Aquarius is that association sign, that public persona, or that like internet kind of energy, things like that. Like Aquarius is the scientist. So the Virgo may misunderstand that they actually have to experiment with things like, pardon me, the Virgo may actually misunderstand that they have to experiment based on this routine and pattern that they're going about and things like that. So don't be too stubborn in the way that you go about your routine and pattern at this point in time. See that maybe there's certain circumstances that you actually need to shed to be more beneficial. So yeah, moving forward, the Leo rising is having the seventh house being in Aquarius, and the seventh house is all about your relations or your relationships. And keep in mind, this is also opposite to the Leo. So opposition is a 180-degree angle. Either you can add on or oppose to your relationship at this point in time. And, excuse me, the Leo sees, okay, what is actually something I need to shed to be more relative, or on the higher octave, I'm in a circumstance situation where I'm relating to things like that and it actually is beneficial and things of that nature. And this association that I'm benefiting from is a circumstance that, like, okay, what is maybe something that is hindering this relationship that I am associating with, and maybe that's something you need to shed and stop relating to. So keep that in mind. Moving forward, the eighth house, I'm saying, in Aquarius is a Cancer rising. So the Cancer rising, like I said, is having the eighth house being in Aquarius. I kind of said that backwards. But yeah, moving forward, like I said, it's an in conjunction or a 150-degree angle or a misunderstanding. So the Cancer may misunderstand based on them initiating, creating in their personal life this vibration or this emotion and things like that. They actually think, okay, if someone actually doesn't vibrate with me, then it's no problem and things like that. There's nothing I need to change about oneself to make it a more beneficial circumstance. And keep in mind, the eighth house is all about transformation, rebirth, and sex and things like that. And saying behind the scenes kind of circumstance and secrets. So yeah, there may be a secret that you need to shed and kind of bring more to light, and you may misunderstand, like, this is actually something that makes me feel uncomfortable. This is a vibration that I kind of want to stay away from, or things like that. So you may misunderstand that this is actually something you need to associate more with and kind of feel more comfortable in this secret and things like that, or kind of associating this behind the scenes nature. Or maybe you're seeing that you need to actually shed this association and things like that and transform your associates, so to speak. Which means, like, you're around certain individuals that you actually see, okay, this is actually something I can't become the phoenix about. Like, if I transform my circumstance situation, it may be a non-beneficial circumstance and I can't actually rebirth like the phoenix. Whenever we have this new moon being in Cancer, you know what I'm saying? So essentially you want to begin to transform things that you can actually begin to feel more comfortable with and things like that. Cancer is the comfort sign. So in your personal life, you want to be able to feel more comfortable with oneself before we actually have this new moon being in Cancer. So you may misunderstand that, like I say, 150-degree angle. And Gemini rising is having the ninth house being in Aquarius, and the ninth house is all about morality, travel, and things like that. So you can either travel in the mind or externally at this point in time. And you may see, like, okay, these are associations that I can create an opportunity to transform and things like that. Like, keep in mind, like I say, we're going to have this moon conjunct Pluto right away. So depending on where you have the Aquarius in your houses, you're also going to have to transform something or have this deep change be enacted. See what I'm saying? So this morality that you're associating with this point in time may be something you need to transform to actually be more beneficial, being this Gemini rising, if you're on the lower octave. But if you're on that higher octave with this circumstance situation, you're seeing, okay, this is morality that I can associate with and actually is beneficial, or maybe I need to disassociate with people that aren't of this certain morality and things like that, or kind of stop being so adaptive to the way other people go about their knowledge and wisdom and experience, and stop relating to other people's experiences and things of that nature. And moving forward, the Taurus rising is having the 10th house being an Aquarius, and the 10th house is all about your status, your career, and your blueprint. So yeah, keep that in mind, that you're going to have to learn how to be more consistent upon your association within your status and things like that. So you may have to shed a certain way that you're looked at, or a certain kind of like ego, so to speak. So the square is all about a learning process. So the Taurus essentially has to learn to be more associative and things like that, and associate their status more instead of being so recluse. And depending on your alignments and what you have aligning with your Taurus energy being in the first house, I'm saying you may have a circumstance like, for example, you may have an Aquarius sun being that Taurus rising, and you may need to take action into being more associative and things like that. For example, an Aries rising is having the 11th house being an Aquarius, and the 11th house being an Aquarius for Aries is a sextile house. So they're seeing the opportunity, what to associate with, or what public persona is actually beneficial, or what character to utilize to associate and things like that. Or maybe you need to see what you actually need to shed throughout this next 2 weeks to be more associated with others. And last but not least, the Pisces rising is having the 12th house being an Aquarius, and the 12th house is all about dreams, illusions, nightmares, and things like that. So keep in mind, the Pisces may see a certain association they actually see as a nightmare. You actually need to shed that at this point in time to make it a beautiful dream, so to speak. So it's like, is your dream actually based in reality? Isn't it something you can actually associate with? And if it's not something you can associate with as actual reality, you know what I'm saying? Because the Pisces kind of be in this little delusional space at sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Because Pisces is that two different fish. Like, they want to go one way, but they also see how to go the opposite way and things like that. So it's like two fish going in two opposite ways. So essentially, they're already in that dreamland. So being this Pisces energy, you need to see, okay, what can I actually associate with, or what do I need to disassociate with to achieve my dreams and things like that, and have my dream be more realized and actualized. So yeah, essentially the Aquarius energy being conjunct Pluto, we're going to have this deep transformation whenever we hit any Aquarius moon. So make sure you're ready to transform things before they transform you. So essentially, like I say, for me personally, I have the Leo rising, right? So Leo rising is having the 7th house being an Aquarius. So I know that I actually have to transform the way I relate and transform my relations and things like that. Either I can add on or oppose to the way that I transform and things like that, or have this rebirth energy within my relations. So essentially, it's like I allow Pluto to change me, and I seem to be more I don't want to say, the word isn't vague, jaded. I don't know why vague popped in my mind. But things like that, you want to not be so jaded being that Leo rising, and realize that, okay, I'm opposite to Pluto, so there's a circumstance situation that I actually need to transform in the way I'm relating. And if I transform the way I'm relating amongst this circumstance situation, then I'll actually be on a higher octave, because I'm transforming before I get transformed, so to speak. So like, before the change happens to you, you want to be ready to change. So it's like, if you're not ready to change, you're going to be in a bad state being that Leo rising, for example. Just to put myself on the forefront. But yeah, keep all that in mind, that this is going to be a heavy energy whenever we have any Aquarius energy, you know what I'm saying, and circumstances like that. So next month, whenever we have the sun being in Leo, is going to be opposite to that Pluto. So that circumstance situation is going to be, do you actually want to take action and be opposing to the way that things should be changing, or you should be switching up and things like that? Or do you actually want to be transformed, so to speak? Like, it's either you take power and control over your circumstance situation, or the circumstance situation takes power and control over you. So keep that in mind. But yeah, if you wanted me to go any deeper with the circumstance situation, or you wanted me to do an individual reading and things like that, the email is in the description. If you want to go ahead and tap into that. I also have my Instagram and things like that linked up. And I just dropped a new music video featuring Dirty Sanchez, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Pro Era and things like that, all the Beast Coast. So yeah, 47 shit, you know what I'm saying? I represent, you know what I'm saying? Long live Stilo and all that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's called If I Die Tonight, you know what I'm saying? That's going to be my single off my newest album. So y'all go ahead and peep that and things like that. Much love and holla back, you know what I'm saying? Peace and love if you believe in all.